Baby doll gets in the room and closes the door, breathing heavily. She says they almost died out there. A swift hand slides over her back as a voice tells her the world is ending. So, why don't we do it one last time? That cut boyfriend of yours wouldn't do even if he found out. But then she notices the thirsty blonde guy has a bite mark on his forearm and asks, "What is that?" Roger shrugs. "Nothing big, just one of those crazy guys out there bit my arm." And this lobotomized Ho actually accepts it. The football match begins, balls hitting the field, but shortly after the guy stops moving. He doesn't have that Cristiano Ronaldo stamina. She asks why he's not moving. Yeah, the obvious happened. He turned into a zombie and is about to eat her again. She kicks him away. From outside, a Sung Jin-woo lookalike hears the noise and thinks to himself, "Wait, isn't that the voice of the girlfriend of the old owner of this body?" He goes to take a look and stares with cold, menacing eyes like me, trying to hold my laugh when my bro makes a racist joke. The lobotomized blondie looks at Subai and begs for forgiveness, screaming and shouting. But Roger slowly closes the door while enjoying her screams, that Kira-ass smile on his face. And GT. He's thinking a girl who cheats like that deserves this. This dude hates cheaters. In his past life, he was on that Chinese Sword Immortal vibe. He was about to become a literal god when suddenly one of his disciples, let's call her White Panties, showed up just to stop him from leveling up, telling him to pay for his sins. Before he could react, another one came from behind, hugged him tightly, and pressed 2 bombs against his back. That was another disciple complaining that her master had treated her unfairly all those years. Roger decided to take them all with him, only to get hit by the skills of yet another disciple. Clearly, he should have chosen his peers based on loyalty instead of just thighs and ass. Not gonna lie, I would have made the same mistake though. After the triple betrayal, he went full Joker one last time and flattened half the earth. I'll tell my son that's how the dinosaurs went extinct. Then he woke up in that apartment from the beginning. Now we know why this dude calmly closed the door and left the lobotomized girl to die. What he doesn't know is that soon enough he'll find all his beloved disciples in this place, giving him the perfect chance to get revenge on those cannon fodder carriers. But right now, he looks outside and says he knows nothing about this strange cement city. After arriving here in the body of this cuck, the only thing the infamous system gave him was this 10,000 souls banner that lets him control the things he kills. It's trash compared to the weapons he used to carry, so he throws it to the ground while cursing. That's when he remembers 2 perfect trash targets nearby, the 71 IQ duo that devoured each other in every conceivable way. So he opens the door and with a single clean stab, puts them both to sleep. The banner activates, and the duo starts getting eaten once more. Lunny Girl already got eaten 3 times in one chapter. Outside, the street is infested with zombies. The protagonist is itching to fight zombies everywhere, and the wig banquet is trying to run away. Big Mac Girl gets jealous and shoves the skinny girl backward, and she drops beautifully onto the ground. Okay, skinny might be me getting carried away, and the protagonist is watching from a distance and recognizes her instantly. Lin wants you, the queen of the White Panties. The problem is there's a whole crowd of zombies between him and her, but he wants to know what Wanty was doing there. That woman can only die by his hands, not by those monsters. So, he throws the spear into a zombie, jumps right after it, catches it midair, drives it straight through the creature's belly, and it drops dead. Wanty was shaking, stunned that she's still alive. She wonders if this strange man really saved her, but the protagonist says that the damn woman used that thunder technique to leave him in a miserable state, and now she shows up in front of him like a total failure, almost dying to a creature that weak. She's completely confused, not understanding what he's talking about. She stands up and thanks him for saving her, and the creator's shading is still flawless. The protagonist gives her this half glare and puts the spear right in her face, asking if she's going to keep pretending she's clueless. She grabs the spear tip and pushes it away, telling him this isn't the time for drama. What is he even talking about? She doesn't even know him. He wonders if he got it wrong, but remembering the White Panties queen side by side, he's sure it has to be her. He knows those curves way too well, and he's ready to investigate. Then his stomach growls, and she says she knows a place with food. He thinks for a second, apocalypse. He's human. He needs to eat. So fine, he'll let her come with him. But she grabs his arm and tells him to hurry up. It's like they're having the time of their lives, like they're in a playground and not in the middle of the apocalypse. The protagonist just stares, thinking the fact that she betrayed him never changed, and she's going to pay for it. In front of market, she says it all happened so fast, she didn't even ask his name. He starts to realize it really does seem like she doesn't know much, but he tells her his name while thinking she's not leaving his side. He's going to make her suffer in every possible way. She walks ahead and opens the door, but obviously the place is packed with undead. She freezes, asking why there are so many creatures in there. Weirdly, In the middle of the zombies, there's one saying to buy a phone SIM card for 50% off. The monsters start standing up, waving their arms, scratching around to scare them. But the protagonist is just smiling. Wang Xiu clings to him, saying they should run and get out fast. But he says he needed a sacrifice to get his banner to level 2. It's the perfect chance to test the item's abilities. The banner flies out and summons the 2 zombies he killed in the room, but now as slaves. They charge in and bite other zombies right in the neck. It's zombie versus zombie, and there's even some synergy. A blue one goes for the blonde zombie. He dodges, kicks it in the back. It falls toward the girl zombie, and she blows it up in the middle. The protagonist sees a bigger red one leaping in with claws and tells his 2 to fall back, but his zombies get completely wrecked. He doesn't have much spiritual energy, and he uses what little he has left to resummon them and sends them in again. This time he sends the blonde one first. He takes a stab through the air, but it creates an opening for the other one to latch onto the mutant's back. The protagonist activates a chain spell, and she bites the creature's neck. It drops dead. The protagonist walks up and activates the spiritual link. A bunch of chains surround the mutant, lift it up, yank everything out, the spear glows, and the weapon levels up to level 2. Now 5 souls can be summoned. The system warns that to keep leveling up, he'll need to collect an advanced level zombie. The protagonist knows that if it's more advanced than that, he'll probably starve before he finds one. Meanwhile, Lin, all excited, is basically falling for a guy she doesn't even know is dying to kill her. She says she's useless and thanks him. The protagonist agrees, saying yes, she's useless and she's stupid. Damn. Then a bald guy shows up with half a dozen survivors. Wang Xiu clings to the protagonist. One of the survivors mouths off, "Hey, we got here first. Are you crazy?" The group agrees, saying everything there belongs to them. The girl in the mini shorts defends the protagonist, saying he did the dirty work, but the gang says he's lying. The monsters fought each other, so clearly he didn't do anything. Lin throws a fit, saying those bastards are trying to steal the protagonist's credit. She's almost crying from anger, yelling when the protagonist tells her not to worry. Only the weak need reasons. The strong create the reasons. Basically, even if he's wrong, he'll do what he wants. He walks up to them and says he wants supplies. Who's going to stop him? Just say it. They get bold. Everyone yelling, "I'm against it. I'm against it. You're not taking a damn thing from here." The protagonist smiles and says, "All right." Then he summons the Tame You version of Boru. Before they can do anything, he sends it straight at them. They're shaking, saying they don't want to die, begging. For a second, I thought he was just going to scare them, but no, he really tears people in half. He kills a few, then asks again, "Who doesn't want me to take the supplies?" Everyone goes quiet, real quiet. Then he turns to Wonky Yu and tells her to learn. That's how it's done. Now nobody disobeys. She focuses and says she understands. But what I don't understand is why she's down on the floor, straddling the supplies, rubbing all over them. Girl, stop grinding on people's food, love of God. The protagonist tells her she's carrying everything since he saved her. And with that half-witted stare, he says he can't wait to find out if she's really pretending or if she actually has amnesia. Either way, he's going to make her suffer. But she's all excited, gathering supplies, saying she'll carry it all for him. Dude, you already got betrayed once, and you're going to believe it again? I don't know if I buy that she forgot everything. I think she might remember, honestly. But there she is with her toned stomach and mini shorts, saying she's ready to go. The protagonist tells her to come on. He's looking for stronger zombies, and she's carrying the supplies. Later, losers. The survivors are furious. Damn, that guy came in here, killed everyone, and robbed us. The remaining survivors try to grab what's left in the room, but then the protagonist zombie couple shows up telling them to get their hands off what belongs to him. Nobody cares anymore, and it turns into a fight over who can grab more supplies, kicking each other, everyone playing rock, paper, scissors. Then one of them looks back pissed off. But he doesn't like what he sees because he gets spooked. Wonders what that is doing there, and more zombies have arrived. Wow, dude, everybody got absolutely shredded. What is this? Now, another Big Mac was crying for help over there, and then just got its head stomped in. Dude, the main guy killed everyone just to absorb their souls. What is this? What is this? This kid is ruthless, huh? He doesn't forgive anyone. He says leaving those seeds that hate him alive is only going to cause problems later. It just sucks that he's so weak he has to keep a low profile. Meanwhile, the other girl is over there looking like a total mess, all sweaty. Man, what a shame she's completely worn out. It's almost like I'm only saying that so you'll sit there staring at it for a bit. All right, that's enough. That's it. Looks like she's pissed because the protagonist is walking too fast. I'm just saying if she slows down, she really is going to get left behind. She laughs and says she's sure he didn't want to abandon her. Damn, look at that test. He's getting tested right now. He asks why she's so sure. They're basically strangers. Like he wouldn't leave her behind. Then she says she won't get abandoned because she has information about a really strong zombie, and she's sure he'd be interested. And yeah, he is. He immediately asks where to find it. So, she says she wasn't at the university today because there was a weird creature on campus. It had a strange smell and seemed kind of dangerous. She's there with her fingers pressed together, begging him to believe her while he's thinking, well, she's not lying. And since he really does need a creature to evolve, it's worth checking out. At the university, it's packed with zombies, and the scaredy cat is there too. The protagonist starts saying something, but she tells him to shut up, saying there are a lot of creatures there, and they can't hear them. But he doesn't care at all. He pulls out the spear and slams it into the ground. He tells the 3 summons to clear the way while the girl is wondering if this is really the best approach, just killing everything. He doesn't even answer her. He's just wondering if everyone who gets killed by zombies really turns into those half-alive creatures. Suddenly, they hear screaming. Leaning against a wall, there's a trio telling the creatures not to come closer. One of the monsters lunges. The guy stretches out his big axe, but not only does he lose the axe, he also gets it stuck in his shoulder, completely useless. The zombie, obviously, is still alive, and then it lunges again. Someone blocks the attack and smashes it right in the middle of the head. The guy is yelling for everyone to fall back. They needed to regroup. These things were way above their level. Wang Su recognizes them as Gu Ming and Li Mingxian. But what were they doing in a place like this? The protagonist asks why that matters. Does she think he's going to save those people? She grabs his hand and starts running. He's kind of confused. Wait, you don't want to save them? She says unfortunately, she doesn't have the strength to rescue her classmates. He thinks she really doesn't seem to remember anything because she used to be strong. So where did her strength go? I'll tell you where it went. But then suddenly the classmates spot them from far away and start yelling her name. Wang Su, help please. We're going to get eaten and killed. She's thinking this bastard is trying to drag the 2 of them down with everyone else. Or maybe it's because they pass like half a meter away from the creatures. That idiot Lin notices and apologizes to the protagonist, saying it's her fault. She really is messing up his life. But he pulls out the spear and summons the 3 souls. The creatures rush and handing out slashes, hits, bites. But there's so many that his monsters start getting grabbed like The Walking Dead. A bite to the neck and he loses 1. So now he can only control 2. He realizes he needs to thin out the zombies so he can summon more. The problem is first they need a chance to escape. He suddenly asks Wang Su if she has anything that can make a loud sound. She thinks for a second and shows her phone. He doesn't get it at first. But when she hits play and the music starts, he understands. She tosses it over the creatures and it grabs their attention for a second. But then from the phone thing, he summons that clawed creature. Don't ask me how, and sends it in. It attacks and tears through everything with chains, ripping people apart. She's shocked that such a dumb distraction worked. But he just says they don't have time to think. He grabs her arm and drags her away. In another part of the school, she's exhausted on the floor like she just stepped out of the shower. She says once again she owes him. If it weren't for him, she'd be dead. He says it doesn't matter. They need to locate that high-ranking zombie fast. But then we see some other people come in through the door too, and she manages to hide. The greedy ones get all excited. Wang Su, this is great. You brought a bunch of supplies and saved everyone. They start surrounding her from all sides, and these guys are trying to take way more than they should. Obviously, she doesn't want to be someone's meal, and she says none of what she has is for them. But one of the guys looks her up and down and tells her to stop being disrespectful to the seniors. She has to help everyone survive. That's what matters. The guy with glasses tells everyone to calm down and not fight. This isn't the time. Then he asks the protagonist to join them, saying there's another room that's better for a meeting and it's safer. The trio goes ahead while Wang Qiu apologizes to the protagonist, but says she won't let anyone touch his supplies. He says he doesn't care about those people. He only wants to know if they'll actually help locate the zombie. She says there should be several professors among the survivors, so those guys won't dare do anything crazy. He laughs. Yeah, right? Like they wouldn't do anything. As they walk, the bald guy says, guys, I saw her backpack. It's packed. That could last a month. The black-haired guy says he agrees, but Wang Qiu won't accept it. The glasses guy says it's fine, just put them on the team, and when they start sharing, they take everything, or they'll have to accept the other option. Right then, someone opens the door, saying they finally arrived. Where are the supplies? The pair walks in, and the protagonist sees the room is full of survivors. For things to be this chaotic, this apocalypse, all these zombies, this must have started recently. Then Wang Qiu sighs and suddenly sticks her, but out for no reason. And she even says, you can't touch it. What do you mean? Oh, she's talking about the supplies. Relax. She says it all belongs to Su Bai, and the black-haired guy wants to know, one person, why does he need so much stuff? But fine then, they'll buy it from him. He goes, hey girl, we'll pay 10 times the store price. You're definitely not going to refuse, right? The protagonist gives that smile like he's about to do something nasty and says no, he won't refuse. Then the guy kneels and says, "Smart kid, let me see what's in that backpack so I can buy it." But suddenly there's a claw at his neck, and the protagonist says, unfortunately, his friend here isn't in the mood for that. Everyone freaks out, running around asking where the hell that thing came from, while the guy backs away, wondering why it looks like the creature isn't attacking Subai. Then the protagonist says the bastard got 2 of his subordinates killed, and now he's trying to steal the supplies too. The guy tries to explain, but the protagonist stomps him in the chest, and he starts coughing up blood. Then the protagonist says he'll have to kill him and use his corpse to make up for the earlier loss. The guy calls for his friends, begging for help, but that's how it goes. Friendship disappears real fast. Everyone starts yelling that it was that idiot's idea to steal the supplies. The poor guy on the floor can't believe he risked so much to get supplies for everyone just to get betrayed like this. He begs 1Q for help, but she stays silent and sighs. I thought she was going to tell him to kill the guy, but instead she asked the protagonist to forgive him this one time. They could take her share of the food, and nobody would touch his, but the protagonist stares, realizing this girl is way too weak. She only looks like the 1Q he used to know. He has no reason to keep her around anymore. Damn, he's cold. So what? Cut her throat. Then go on. Kill her. I dare you. Come on. Prove you're the protagonist. And then he stands up and says, "All right then. Our deal ends here. You found your people, and from now on we go our separate ways." She grabs his arm and begs him to wait. She knows exactly where the zombie he's looking for is. He asks if she saw it, and she says, not exactly. She can feel an aura, a different smell coming from a certain area. She doesn't know why, but she's almost sure. He remembers 1Q. The White Panties Queen had an innate spirit, a super rare body that could sense spiritual energy, and maybe she brought something like that into this world. Next chapter, they're by a little wall, and a guy asks if the girl found what he asked for. Apparently, it was a stick and a long sleeve, and the protagonist asks where Lynn found that. She puts her hands together and says she basically was born knowing because she has a tracking ability, and from now on, she would be a sword. The protagonist pats her shoulder and says, fine, she'll be a second disciple. She has a spiritual body, so she has good potential. Maybe one day, she could even surpass him. She says she'd never even dream of that. She just wants to serve by his side and make his life easier. He looks at her like, what is this? Lifts her chin and asks, you're going to call me senior? And she calls him master. Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you what happens next in that temple. But now, back in reality, he's furious. He doesn't know how that damn girl lost her memories, but the good part is she can still be killed. And now it's time for the pretty disciple to become part of that banner. He's already thinking about sending her to the other side when she suddenly takes his hand and asks him to trust her. There's a creature coming this way. The poor guy is stunned, laughing up at the sky, thinking how ironic it is. Again, he's in a situation where he needs her. If she really has that innate body, she's perfect for finding creatures. Yeah, that's what you need the body for, you creep. Outside, there's a literal giant crocodile, saying it can feel a strong presence of spiritual energy. Those weak creatures were useless. It smashes through the wall, freaking everyone out, and the protagonist immediately realizes this is the creature she mentioned. A mutant that's half human, half snake, and it barges right into the room, grabbing people right away. The onlookers want to run while the protagonist just stands there, and Wonku says that's the creature she was sensing. And the weirdest part is it seems to have spiritual energy. The protagonist thinks it's strange. Why would a creature from this world have spiritual energy? That shouldn't exist here. And the creature says it can smell that energy. My God, all they talk about is energy. But for now, it's going to start its banquet with a few humans. It grabs the first one and is about to toss him into its huge throat. Then the young teacher makes an offer. Please, will do whatever you want. He stares and asks what their lives have to do with him. She says she doesn't know, but she can pay money. She'll pay for protection. He says he's not interested. What he's really interested in is everyone dying, so he can collect their souls. While he's saying that, and someone gets eaten by the snake, suddenly a zombie comes from behind and smashes the back of its neck. The big snake drops straight to the floor. His blonde zombie climbs onto its back to go for the neck. Full attack on Titan. But the snake twists around like it's doing a full 360. Then it uses its long tongue and wraps it around the zombie's body. Right away, the snake knows who has that spiritual energy. No wonder the smell was so strong here. But then the blonde zombie knees it in the jaw. That guy is the real protagonist. Subai still hasn't done anything so far. Subai says it looks like he won't be able to wait for everyone to die, since the creature is coming straight for him. He's got guts, but he knows in this life it's going to be way harder to deal with something like this. But there's a way to get strong, fast, by draining everyone. So he warns them he won't be able to save everyone. But if anyone wants to join his group of undead, then they have a chance. If nobody wants to, he'll just leave and they'll die there. Obviously, nobody wants to accept that deal. He starts to walk away. Lynn tries to say something, and then the teacher steps forward and says she'll give herself to him. But the protagonist stares and sees something incredible. He reaches out with his big hand to grab her necklace and asks where she found it. She says it's something her father found by accident many years ago. If he liked it that much, she just takes it off her neck and hands it to him, saying he can keep it. All she wants is for him to protect the students. The protagonist realizes it's a stone from the immortal realm and the quality isn't even that low. But how did something like that end up in this world? Maybe it's not a coincidence that he and Wang Qiu are there too. There's a good chance there are more female disciples in that place. The system immediately says he recognized the spirit stone and asks if he wants to use it. Not only would he get stronger, he'd also be able to control stronger creatures. Seeing the item will actually be useful, he says he accepts the teacher's offer and that they can hide there. But the big snake is furious because it looks like it wanted that item, too. He thought the energy it sensed had come from like the protagonist or the girl. The boss wants to throw down, but the protagonist sits there to absorb it while telling the blonde kid to hold the fight. The creature charges in, slash to the neck, then the stomach, then it gets its arm squeezed. It blasts up into the ceiling, and the snake glances back. It notices that kid's aura is getting stronger. Looks like he's breaking through, and it has to stop that right now. So, it lands a heavy punch on the protagonist creature and sends it flying far away. With him unprotected, it basically tells him to die and goes in for the kill. But suddenly the protagonist makes it stop just by saying it's too loud. Then he says it can pay for its sins since his banner needed the sacrifice of a beast, and the perfect target just showed up. The snake is trembling, and he asks what the problem is. Right then, his creature, the one that got thrown away, shows up and grabs the snake by the neck. The monster evolved from common class to evolutionary class. The protagonist immediately orders it to kill. It drives 5 claws into the snake's chest. The snake writhes, spits, gets slammed into the ceiling, thrown away. The thing manages to hang on one edge of the building, pulls itself up, and says it really underestimated the kid, but obviously it didn't come all the way here without being prepared. What a sneaky snake. Down below with the survivors, the black-haired guy pierces both his friends' chests. Everyone looks back confused, asking why Mingxian did that. And with his tongue hanging out, it's more than obvious. He asks what it feels like to be betrayed. They never imagined they'd end up like this. Then he rushes in and starts tearing through all the classmates. He doesn't kill the teacher, though. Why would he? He leaves her there. Meanwhile, Wang Qiu and the protagonist are trying to figure out what happened to Mingxian. The protagonist is impressed. He didn't think humans could become followers of beasts, but the more this guy kills, the better for him, since everyone will go into the banner. The teacher steps in front of a student to protect them, saying he can't just kill like that. He grabs her by the neck and asks what she knows. Since she wants to protect them so badly, she can die too. He's about to slash her, but the protagonist pulls him back. He steps forward while Wang Qiu tells him to trust Subai. He wants to keep her alive because he wants to know exactly where she got that stone. He pulls out the banner and orders the souls to rise. Mingxian is standing there, not really understanding what the protagonist is doing. Seeing the protagonist getting stronger and trying to help the snake master, he charges. The protagonist frowns for a second, then extends the spear and orders the zombie to finish him. And then it's creatures everywhere, hugging, grabbing, biting him. He's screaming, asking why they're attacking him. He already killed everyone, while the protagonist just watches. The snake boss recognizes the 10,000 souls banner and asks if he's really planning to use trash like that against it. The protagonist, already summoning the new crew, asks if it really wants to find out whether this weapon is trash or not. The guy who turned into a snake is running around begging for help, while the enemy is trying to understand why it's so unlucky today. Not even that stupid puppet it made a contract with is useful. The kid evolved, so the best option now might be to get out. Mingxian comes closer, but the boss grabs him by the leg and tells that bastard to buy time. It throws him back, he crashes into the wall, and the boss turns to leave, saying the situation is kind of unfavorable now. But obviously the protagonist isn't letting that happen, and he orders the zombies to attack the boss. Immediately, the blonde final boss jumps it from behind, slams it to the ground. The whole building collapses, and it ends up on the street. The protagonist stone zombie takes a falling stance, stone skin forming spikes that pin the lizard snake into the ground by all 4 limbs. While Wan Xiao says the protagonist is going to win, the snake down there tells him to keep dreaming. It's never dying there. Then it turns into a snake and slips away. Mingxian is screaming for help, but it's too late. The former classmate is already in front of him, cracking his knuckles, saying now he's going to pay for everything he did. The idiot still tries to act tough, saying anyone who comes close is getting bitten. but in the end he gets completely stomped. Meanwhile, the girls are worried the creature escaped. The protagonist says it's fine. It ran, but it didn't escape his perception. He looks toward the target, still sliding away. After creating some distance, the creature transforms back, thinking it's unlucky there's a cultivator here. But whatever, it got away, and it's leaving now. Then someone asks where it thinks it's going. It's the protagonist, asking if it's really going to run. The snake doesn't understand, asking how it was found. He's in such a beginner realm. How is his perception that high? The protagonist doesn't even feel like answering. He just orders his creatures to rush it and capture it. The stone zombie pins it again with spikes on all 4 limbs, holding it to the wall, and the blonde one comes in and drives a strike right into the middle of its neck. The protagonist says now he wants to see it try to run. The snake is screaming, saying it won't let them survive, and it's going to fight dirty too. It activates a shadow clone of the snake. Literally, a bunch of little green snakes rush the protagonist, but he just says that bastard really doesn't know when to quit. He stabs one of the illusions, one that was obviously real. The snake keeps asking how the hell his perception is so sharp. The protagonist says again he doesn't have to answer. The snake is only alive because it still has a use for him. He activates the banner's restriction and chains start wrapping around it. The snake insists that if it's going to die, the kid is dying with it. But Sabri says he won't let it sacrifice its soul like that. He activates the divine image, and the creature immediately recognizes the power of a god. Then it realizes the person in front of it is the reincarnation of an ancient ancestor. It tries to beg for forgiveness, but it's too late. The system congratulates him for killing an advanced beast. He advances a realm and can now control up to 10 beasts. Since he reached level 3, the staff's advanced mode awakens. With one hand in his pocket, the shameless guy says he didn't expect you could use the spear like that. Since he has this thing, he can build an army. For no reason, he tosses it upward. While his disciples are waiting back at the building, the teacher asks how Wang Qiu met that boy. Wang Qiu says she doesn't really know, but she felt déjà vu when she saw him the first time. As soon as she says that, the protagonist walks into the room and she happily goes to greet him. He immediately tells her to stay back. He's too much of a man for that. Then he takes the stone from his pocket and tells the teacher to say where there are more right now. She repeats what she already said. It belongs to her father, and she has no idea where he got it. If he wants to know, he'll have to ask her father. He tells her to give the information already, but then she says if he really wants to meet her father, they'll need a second deal. The last time she spoke to her father was 3 days ago, and he was trapped somewhere waiting for rescue. If he wants that information, he has to promise he'll save the people there. The protagonist realizes, this woman's trying to use me to save people. But since he'll profit from it, he says, fine, I'll go with you. But you should know that if you're lying to me, not only you, but everyone with your father is going to die. She immediately realizes he's not joking and says he can be sure her father is there. Then she tells everyone to get up because they're leaving with Sue Bai. People stand up looking sad because their friends died. Some cry, others celebrate. The protagonist pulls out the staff and says, nobody can be wasted. Chains appear sticking to everyone's necks and souls start getting pulled out. With that, he takes control of 10 souls total. Looking at the kids group, there are 4 women and 1 idiot left. Just so it's not 100% female for the harem. The teacher asks what he did with the bodies. He says he did what's natural, made sure everyone got maximum use, and now they're puppets under his control. Nobody wants to question it, and they just thank him, scared they'll be next. On the way through the streets, they thank him, saying if it weren't for him killing the monsters, they would have died to some creature or starved. The protagonist ignores them completely, only thinking that since he evolved, he got a perception buff. Now, he should be able to use some higher level magic. He dives back into his sea of consciousness to try to find an item. He calls for something and stares at what appears in his hand. While Wang Qiu looks confused, doesn't it look like the sword she used in her past life? She wants to grab it, saying the sword is strange. She feels nostalgic like she's seen it before. The protagonist just watches, realizing it looks like her memories are starting to come back. For him, that's perfect. It'd be even better if she remembered what she did and became a sheep ready to be slaughtered. The guy is insane. He's eager to see what she'll try to do to him. He throws the sword on the ground and says, since she seems to be getting déjà vu, she can keep it. She's confused, pointing at herself and saying, but why do you want to give me a sword? It's not like you want me fighting monsters, right? He asks why not. Does she think he's going to protect her forever? Seems like this girl has a knee problem and can't bend down to squat. Every time she sticks her butt out, and this time the moment she touched the sword, she instantly started remembering everything that happened, telling the master to stop. How she was his servant and how he helped her. And it looks like the protagonist already knows she knows because he's furious. She gets startled and calls him master. Honestly, it's hard to tell because she freaks out and collapses like an idiot. But it was all part of the protagonist's plan. He pulls out the big snake, saying he's going to get revenge now. Instead of killing her, he wraps her up in the serpent, and everyone is shocked. The teacher tries to stop it, but it's too late. The girl is getting completely crushed tongue out. The teacher grabs the snake, trying to pull it off her. What is happening? The protagonist crouches beside her, taps the spear, and asks if she remembered. She tries to play dumb. Remember what, Mr. Subby? What are you talking about? The teacher says she's a good kid. Why is he acting like this? Good kid, no. Calm down too, lady. The protagonist is confused. He sensed she remembered something, but at the same time her reaction doesn't seem fake. Did she restore her memories for a short moment and then lose them again? He decides to investigate himself and activate Soul Search, but he only finds apocalypse scenes. Nobody can fake memories, so she probably lost what she recovered from the past. Either way, it's not fun killing her if she doesn't know what she did to him. So he dismisses the snake. Yeah, girl, if I were you, I'd stay away from this guy. Clearly, at any moment he might kill you. That casual abusive relationship. Then the sword starts falling apart, and he just tells them to hurry up and warns that item doesn't suit her. Wang Qin knows, wondering why she suddenly yelled master, and why she now feels even more familiar with him. The protagonist, on the other hand, just wants to know if some god is messing with him. He needs to investigate fast to understand why all of this is happening. They arrive at a bunch of buildings that are completely destroyed, and the teacher explains that's where her father was last found. The protagonist is already like, well, if that's how it is, let's go already. Obviously, the rest of the group is in shock, saying they're not going with him. No, they're going to stay there waiting. There wouldn't be much use anyway, blah blah blah. The protagonist cuts them off and says, whatever, stay outside. In the end, you've got nothing to do with me, idiots, because if a monster shows up, who's going to protect you? The teacher, not stupid, ditches everyone and goes with the protagonist. The trio of morons is like, who? Finally that guy's gone. I thought he was going to kill us any second. We got out alive this time. Yeah, after saying that, they're definitely going to die. The three are getting close to the building when Wang Qin feels like something's going on. Up ahead, some cops are unloading on zombies, calling for backup for help. Except the protagonist isn't exactly the type to send help for free. He's already figured out the zombie situation. Snakes, and everything coming up behind the soldiers. The poor guys obviously think they're about to get slaughtered and start scattering. But the protagonist's crew heads straight toward the zombie crowd. There are a ton of zombies, but his creatures are literally sweeping through them. The cops don't understand why the monsters suddenly started fighting each other. The fight keeps going, and the cops realize they're screwed if they try to evacuate now. Their only chance is sending in an awakened. The guy in the back says there's no way they'd send powerful people to save cannon fodder like them. The captain, though, readies his weapon and says they're going to die there fighting. Nobody's backing down, even if nobody comes to save them. Then he looks out into the street and sees the protagonist coming with a trio, and weirdly, they look really calm. When he walks right through the rubble, the soldiers are aiming over. They tell him to stop and identify himself. The guy next to the captain asks if they should shoot. He doesn't look like someone they can handle. I don't get it. The protagonist completely ignores them and just keeps walking. So, the captain steps out from the rubble and asks which one of them is an awakened. The protagonist looks confused, turns around, and asks what an awakened even is. Now, the captain's confused too. Wait, this kid isn't one? Or maybe he is, but he's not a registered awakened. That would be even worse. Then the teacher says they're there to find someone, her father Li Yonghao. The soldier says he's on the rescue list. Seems like an important person. Subai asks where he is. The cop says he has the coordinates, but unfortunately, it's right in the heart of the mess. So, it'll be extremely hard to get there. Right then, another wall collapses and a bunch of zombies pour in, and the guy opens fire. The cop says if the kid isn't helping any other group, he could help the government. The protagonist negotiates and says he'll help if they take him to the target he's looking for. As soon as the guy agrees, he sends a snake and the blonde kid charging in. Now, the snake is breathing fire on the creatures. The soldiers are totally confused, saying that power is kind of insane. But the friend says it's actually normal. Awakened are that strong, and the one in front of them is probably different because he's way stronger than a lot of others he's seen. At minimum, he's an impressive C rank. All that drama, just to say a trash rank like that. Suddenly, Wang Xiu says something's coming from above. Someone drops down warning that nobody steps on this territory without permission. A huge samurai drops between the protagonist and the cop. Even Subai is freaked out, saying this creature's rank is higher than he expected to run into right now. The thing points its staff and summons another zombie army, while the protagonist's friends ask how they're supposed to deal with this. He's excited for the fight, though. Not only can he farm experience from countless souls, he can also put this guy on the banner. He tells the girls to step back because he's got new prey. His goal is to build an army of intelligent, independent creatures. He sends the snake, the zombie, everyone straight in. The blonde kid goes first and throws an attack, but the knight blocks it and immediately realizes the kid seems to be controlling the undead. That kind of power is insanely dangerous. He needs to eliminate someone like that right now. The creature starts cutting loose easily and goes on the offensive, while the protagonist realizes this bastard really has serious combat power. Where did an undead like this even come from? Scene changes. We see someone watching the fight from far away, thinking he found easy prey, and he calls the boss. A purple shadow appears, saying they found a cultivator who controls zombies. The guy gives the order to finish off the kid. Back in the fight, the big skeleton comes in to crush all the girls, and the protagonist clings to it. The kid standing there with his eyes closed, thinking this creature is way too full of itself if it thinks it can stop him like that. Then he pulls one Q sword, blocks the big attack, and the monster is confused. A giant cultivator appears in front of them, and everyone recognizes it as a divine avatar. The skeleton tries to run from the fight. Get back here. The protagonist asks where the bastard thinks he's going and activates the phoenix cry, launching the bird straight at it and piercing it through the chest. Everyone is shocked. He summoned a phoenix. Then the protagonist activates the banner, and chains start wrapping around the skeleton. Congratulations to the user for defeating a commander-level creature. Looks like it was basically boss tier because it becomes a boss bar he can control. While the girls are helping him, the skeleton starts talking to him. He didn't even know the spear could talk. No, wait. The spear now has the spirit of the skeleton he just defeated, and it's feeding energy into his back again. The protagonist smiles. He clearly liked the boost. That's literally what he says. He thanks the skeleton for offering that spiritual power. The creature says he can count on it because now that it's seen the kid's level, it knows that if it stays by his side, it can reach the peak again. As long as it gives its best serving its master, it'll resurrect even stronger. Lena asks if the protagonist is okay. She sees blood of his mouth, but at the same time she's asking, she's confused too because earlier he suddenly tried to kill her. That's a fair concern. The protagonist, as always, has people talking to him while he's thinking about something else and doesn't care about anyone. He just wants to know where the spirit stones are because he needs them urgently, and he doesn't stop. He tells the cops, "Come on, take me to Jianghao." Now that I think about it, does it never get dark in this story? Haven't we been on the same day for like 15 chapters, and he still hasn't slept? Or am I losing it? More beat-up zombies start approaching, and the protagonist just calls the skeleton and tells it to handle it. The creature shouts for everyone to kneel before the master, and they do. Everyone drops to their knees. The cops are in shock. This kid alone was fighting hundreds of creatures. There really is something different about him, and the teacher is already interested. Someone with that kind of strength could be a hero. Scene changes to a Japanese temple. There's an old man sitting there asking what this business is about. Another bone woven dead. In a floating window, someone says he can trust it. It's absolutely true. They even have some images of the scene. The guy watches the video with the divine avatar and the phoenix. Looks like the master also came to this world. I thought it was just another one of the protagonist's servants. I thought he only had women. I respected that more. And the kid is already giving the order to use all forces to kill this guy as fast as possible before he progresses. The glasses guy just says he understands and will obey. Scene changes again. A horde is walking toward the building. Inside, a bunch of suit and tie types are finding out about the psycho who's making all the monsters kneel. The protagonist and company are getting closer, but from the sky an object approaches, and suddenly a spinning Beyblade-looking thing comes in. The skeleton warns the protagonist, jumps out of the weapon to tank it, and manages to block, but an East Asian guy appears in front of him. It's one of Nether Skeleton's old friends asking why he switched sides. He says he didn't switch sides, he just got a new master. That's exactly what switching sides means. The skeleton tells the bastard to move, and the guy smiles and says he's too arrogant. Does he think he can order people around? Then he summons more skeletons. It's nothing but skeletons. The protagonist looks them over like he always does, thinking the creature seems strong, but not strong enough. He calls Wang Qiu and tells her to pay attention to this move. He throws some attacks and creates the phoenix again. She watches but says she doesn't feel anything. Was she supposed to remember something? The phoenix explodes in the sky, and the creatures can't even move. The protagonist calls for Old Een. That's the skeleton's name, and tells him to finish it. Old Een thanks his master for the chance at revenge, and charges the East Asian guy. He smashes him in the head, and the skull goes flying. With that, the protagonist gains more experience for killing another commander-level creature. Classic, they're trying to kill him, but they're just feeding him. The protagonist tells the skeleton he can keep the body, and yeah, he's the king of sucking things dry too. Everyone in this series knows how to drain something. The suit guys upstairs seeing this get excited, saying the rescuers have arrived. But right then, a paw slams into the window and starts dragging the building. There's a huge headless beast up there. Even the skeleton warns the protagonist that this creature is packed with spiritual energy. Looks like this bone bird already killed another group that had awakened people. The giant old man says it's over, that everyone's probably going to die there. Real motivating fighting for his life. And yeah, they probably drew him with a little more care, so he must be the teacher's father. The glasses guy is watching from far away, saying the master wants that kid dead, but he can tell the boss doesn't believe he can do it. So, he's going to show what he's capable of. The bird screams at everyone that they're going to turn into food, and the thing actually has skills. It creates 6 clones, one of each color and element, and lets out a huge screech. Everyone's hearing gets wrecked, and nobody can orient themselves. The protagonist realizes he isn't in pain, but his spiritual energy is being suppressed. He tells the skeleton to stop that casting, and the skeleton rushes in. But the bird blocks with its legs and counters with a storm of feathers. Another one, the purple clone, comes at the protagonist. He grabs the sword and almost slices it, but it dodges clean choreography. It lands a low attack that he barely avoids, but he still gets hit in the arm. He's confused. His vision and agility feel completely suppressed by the creature. He's pissed. The damn chicken is giving him more trouble than he expected. Still, it's only a matter of time before this ends. He just has to shut the bird up while it's screaming. He releases the whole gang, and it turns into chaos. The snake gets grabbed, the blonde kid gets grabbed by another one, another bird runs off. The protagonist slips up and almost takes a hit in the back. Then the skeleton tries that social media bait tactic, basically taunting that the bird only runs and can't deal any damage. The idiot falls for it and charges, slamming a paw right into the skeleton. Meanwhile, the well-fed young women are still on the ground, unable to do anything. The glasses guy is confused. The master wants him to kill the kid, but the kid looks kind of useless. If that's the case, he'll just torture him slowly. Meanwhile, the old man who gave up didn't just give up. He wants the protagonist to give up too. He says, "Young man, stop fighting. You don't have any chance. Take my girl, Jinya, and run from this place." Like any protagonist, he's thinking, am I going to have to use that technique? Suddenly, a wooden branch smacks the bird right in the head, and someone comes in jumping around with crazy flexibility and lands a hit right in the creature's skull. The bird stops screeching, and everyone gets their sanity back. The new girl who showed up is wearing something that looks more painted on than actually worn. Even the women are in love, and there's the protagonist acting all polite, thanking her. "What's this? I thought you were the Jigga-Chad." She just tells him to stop thanking her. They still have things to deal with. She shows up and immediately talks down to him. He gets humbled like always. Meanwhile, the skeleton appears behind the bird and says, now that the spiritual energy isn't being suppressed, it's easy. It crushes it, slamming it into the ground, and another sword slices through another one. The protagonist realizes these birds are useless without those sound waves. The glasses guy seems to recognize the girl who just arrived as Chuan Yin, but she shouldn't be there. Everyone in the warehouse was supposed to be dead. The bird is asking the same thing. Where did this person come from? Now the old guy changed his mindset. Perfect. Now, nobody's going to be able to stop us from surviving. We're all getting out alive. Are the birds going to turn on them and kill everyone? Right then, the teacher warns that they're switching targets, and it looks like they're about to attack the survivors. The skeleton says that bastard isn't getting out alive, but he only manages to stop the yellow one, while the green one closes in on the building. Then, it throws some green poison in there and actually starts killing everyone. A man, poor old guy, he said 1,000 times he was going to die and didn't. The moment he said, I'm going to survive, he died. He's there like, daughter, and she's screaming, Dad, don't die. But it's too late. Things calm down for a second, because she's about to go into that awakening state. The blonde immediately realizes the girl is about to awaken. The problem is the energy is way too chaotic, and her body could explode. The protagonist has never even heard of this awakening thing. Like, what is that? He grabs the girl without caring, pulls her in at just the right angle, puts up a barrier, slams a hand in her back, and says he's going to guide her through this evolution. He even forms a cocoon around the two of them. I'm not understanding anything here. The one who does understand is One Shu, because she immediately remembers the master used to do this energy infusion on her. She didn't like it at all. Is she jealous? What's your problem? The guy is saving the teacher, so she doesn't explode, and she's over there acting dramatic. Next chapter starts with a woman standing there shaky, and the protagonist tells her to test the ability she gained. Poor teacher looks like she really suffered, because she came back the way she came into the world. Meanwhile, the green bird is screaming, saying they're idiots, and now nobody's going to stop him. But then the teacher tells him to go back down to the ground. Lightning shows up around his wings, he loses control, and he drops like an idiot. Everyone's confused. Looks like she has some kind of power where she says something and it happens. And she's already farming aura, like that's right. My ability is words become reality. Thanks to Masterby, I managed to master this technique. So it's easy, huh? Just say it and it happens. Great. Then he tells the skeleton to kill the bird, and tells the girl to save her father. The creature charges, slams the ground, and at the same time, the protagonist activates capture. The glasses guy realizes this kid really does have some weird power. The mission to kill everyone in the warehouse failed. For killing another commander-level creature, the protagonist staff levels up again, and he's about to take control of the bird because he's 2 for 2 on bosses now. The bird is there saying he didn't expect to end up in the same situation again. The big skeleton tells him he should be grateful, while the protagonist just stares at them and tells the bird to explain how to neutralize the poison already. The bird doesn't really want to talk until the skeleton smacks him on the head, forcing the bastard to reveal that if you suck out the poison, it dissipates. Everything in this story comes down to sucking things out. Huh? What kind of artist and author is this? Explain that properly for us. The teacher runs upstairs in a panic, gets to the room, and yells for the poison to leave Jianghao's body. The father is just lying there, doing nothing, and then she's the one who starts coughing up blood. The protagonist says the words become reality ability is strong, but it demands an absurd amount of spiritual energy. At this rate, she'll fall into a coma, and in the worst case, it can damage her bones or even kill her. She got lucky that this time it was only blood. Then he calls the Birdman over and tells him to fix it, warning that if the old guy dies, the bird will be destroyed too. The creature goes in with its little claw and manages to pull the poison out of the old guy's body, but explains the old man took poison a long time ago, so he might not wake up. The teacher screams for her dad, desperate, while Wang Xiao is calling the protagonist over, wanting to know what they're going to do if he really is dead. He tells her to relax, because he can feel spiritual energy in that man's body. Oh, and again, she called him master. She doesn't get it. Why does she keep calling him master all the time? What's her relationship with Su Bai? You should know, girl. You're the one living it. Then the protagonist notices that on the old man's hands resting on his stomach, there's another high-level stone. He tells Wang Xiao to hold it and asks what she can feel. She turns and says she's sensing something about 30 kilometers in that direction. He turns and says they're heading east. The teacher says she has to stay to take care of her father. The poor guy probably needs a burial, I guess. But right then, Xin Yuan stops the kid and tells him to stay there. Wait, what? I thought she was going to threaten him, but not like this. She asks if he doesn't remember what he said, and it looks like she asked for his weapon. He says it's fine and tosses it into her hand. Apparently, it's not that important because even she's confused. Why did he hand this over without hesitating? The blonde thinks she's going to absorb the spirits to increase her strength. She's not going to think too hard about why he didn't hesitate. She'll absorb them and then figure out the next step. She grips the protagonist's spear tightly, feels something weird, and drops to her knees. Looks like she's trying to use one of her abilities, but it's not working, and she's even getting backlash. He's standing there holding the sword at his side and asks if she wants to try that one. She seems to accept and gives the spear back, saying this thing is way too strong. Then she pulls the sword, thinking, well, he used this to cut that bird, so it must be an insane item. The moment she starts using the power, the phoenix appears, and she drops to her knees again, coughing blood. Right away, she wonders why this kid has spiritual weapons with spirits inside them. The protagonist already figured out she has the power to absorb spirits, which is pretty common, but it's bad luck for her, because the phoenix sword is a divine artifact. The spear was also given by the system, so it's beyond divine power. While she's trying to rank up, she doesn't stand a chance at all. She gives the sword back and apologizes. Then he says, how about you serve me, blonde? From now on, any weapons we find out there are yours. Considering how strong he is, she agrees immediately and says the deal is done. Then the phoenix tells the big skeleton it's messed up that he stole the girl's energy. The skeleton says he'll do anything for the boss. And from the looks of it, he really drained the blonde dry and sent it all to him. Outside, the people there wave goodbye to the protagonist, thanking him and saying they'll take care of the teacher. So, they're really leaving her behind? Alright then. It's rare for protagonists to ditch the teacher like that. Usually, they drag it out forever. But then the scene switches to a mansion with zombies coming up on both sides of the staircase. In the back, there's a red-haired girl with a veil stuck to her. Everyone crying, saying they're going to die until a shadow passes by and starts cutting everything down. Oh, it's that guy who used to be the protagonist student. He calls out to face Sewer and says it's been a long time since they've seen each other. Her father asks if she knows him. She's about to say no, but he comes up, puts a hand on her forehead, and says she's his little younger sister. So, they were probably both the protagonist students, and she's the girl who threw that big coin at the protagonist. And now that she remembers because he put his hand on her forehead, she seems to recall everything that happened, too. The guy says, well, now that you've awakened, you already know we've got something important to take care of. She says they really do need to handle it urgently, puts up a coin barrier, and says goodbye to her father. It's a shame the master she loved so much survived, because now she and the other brother are going to have to work hard to finish him off one more time. Meanwhile, the glasses guy is in shock that he failed. Looks like he wants to kill Subai to get something from the human he obeys, so he can return to his world. But while it's going on, the group is walking down the street, watching people get eaten, and doing absolutely nothing. Even Wonkyu says, wow, aren't we going to save them? We're right here, just kill them. But the blonde only says that in the apocalypse, you can't save everyone. Come on, you're literally right next to them. You clearly can. The protagonist, on the other hand, is all about efficiency. He says protecting others will waste time. They need to avoid any trouble. The bad part is that Wong Su says she can feel spiritual energy approaching. Great. The glasses guy is bringing the gang. He stops in front of the protagonist and says the bastard killed 3 of his generals and he's not getting away with it. The parakeet thinks the former boss is about to teach Subiya a lesson. But the big skeleton warns him he has no idea what the kid is capable of. The protagonist immediately tells those 2 bastards to go in, and the 2 generals charge. That Hao Jai guy, though, fires back, saying they're getting way too full of themselves, and asks if they've forgotten who taught them in the first place. All of a sudden, the ground starts cracking apart, and someone yells that the creature was using a Jinjutsu, and everyone needs to cover their ears. But the blonde in latex is deaf. She's already launched herself straight at him. He says she's a beautiful young girl, but way too cruel. With one stare, she drops into a weird position. Then suddenly she's crying, calling for her mom. That's when the protagonist asks the old man with the staff if he can create illusions like that too. But the skeleton explains that the horse guy's body is basically built out of mind control domains. His voice, his eyes, every cell and pore in him was made for it. The protagonist says mind control is an impressive ability, but blocking it isn't that hard either. He forms a quick hand sign and suddenly throws up a barrier around himself. He blocks every bodily perception, but the guy asks how he's supposed to fight like that. The protagonist just sends a flame attack and tells the idiot to worry about himself. The attack looks like it hits dead on, but from the protagonist's expression and the fact the guy is still talking trash, it clearly did nothing. He orders the skeletons to come at him. And now the protagonist and his group are surrounded by a gang spinning around them. The women are clinging to each other like always. They're grabbing onto each other every 2 seconds. While the skeleton warns the protagonist that they're inside this guy's domain and won't be able to escape the mind control. Cut to the cultivation realm with our guy looking down from above. Let's put it that way. The horse guy is laughing, saying Subiya finally failed. He wants to see what's inside his illusion. Looks like the protagonist is watching Subiya teaching all his students. And he recognizes Subiya's student as his own master, you know? Right away he realizes, wait, if my master was Subiya's master, then who is Subiya? And in the illusion, Subiya is talking to him. He asks if he's tired of watching. Turns out he was Yun Bing's damn lackey. Our guy is stunned. How could someone inside an illusion have independent awareness? But illusion Subiya just draws his sword and unleashes the 3rd flame Phoenix Cry Slash, splitting him in half. Then we're back in the real world, and the protagonist says he wasn't cutting his body, he was cutting the illusion. And now he understands this bastard belonged to Yun Bing. The protagonist already knows it. Another person he treated like a son was trying to stab him in the back. 2 skeletons rush him. The protagonist blocks, and the guy tries to use the opening to escape. He slides away, pulls out a fan, and announces he's going to rule this apocalyptic world. And it won't be because of the illusions he has. He throws out a technique saying it'll kill the protagonist, but the protagonist tells the skeleton he should know that thing's weakness. He gets ready and tells the creature to attack the guy's soul consciousness. Fan guy starts firing spikes, telling the protagonist to go train more. But the big skeleton blocks everything easily. The bird keeps dodging, and the cross-eyed guy realizes it's over. The 2 generals are closing in, and there's no way out. He asks why they betrayed him, and the skeleton casually answers that they get 6 meals a day now, which is way better. At this rate, they'll rank up much faster. The glasses-wearing loser starts to realize he got betrayed because he's weaker than Subi. But he still throws his 2 sticks away and says with the treasures he has, nobody can kill him. But he gets distracted, and here comes the latex girl from behind. She smacks his hand, knocks the fan away, and he hits the ground while she's drawn like she stepped out of a poster. Seriously, artist, relax. She smacks the fan against herself and suddenly has a fit. Out of nowhere like that, even I jumped. The fan drops to the ground, and the guy grabs it, but it's not responding anymore. Yeah, she absorbed the energy and even followed up with a clean kick. She turns around all shaky and tells the protagonist it's done. She absorbed the treasure, so now it's easy. The skeleton and the bird rush in again and capture him. They're about to eat the guy's soul. What is this? Some soul-devouring squad? They eat souls. They eat the weapon's soul. They take everything. There won't be anything left of the kid. They start arguing over who gets to eat him. And the protagonist tells them to split it down the middle. They thank him. As they're about to devour his soul, they ask how Subai knew this guy's weakness. They have no idea, but they've learned it's smart to just obey Subai, and both of them absorb what's left of him. They start celebrating, saying the energy is insane and they're about to evolve again. They refine the energy and pass part of it to the protagonist, and that pushes him into a new level. The banner hits level 5, and now he can control 30 more common demons. The protagonist says he can finally check the sea of consciousness again. When his hand goes in, he says he touched something incredible. Yeah, now I'm nervous. But the scene switches to a cave where a girl asks her senior brother if this is the place. She can feel dense energy inside. It's his disciples, and the guy is sensing the glasses. Guy lost his vital energy. Looks like the master is still as formidable as ever. They move through the cave until they reach a spring. The girl says the energy there is ridiculous. If they stayed one day, they'd evolve like crazy. But then she looks back and says she feels someone outside. He tells her not to worry and to remember he's first class when it comes to illusions. Outside voices are asking about someone stealing spirit stones, saying somebody's basically asking to die. And then we see the protagonist arriving with his group, right? His young one can sense the energy and tracked it to this spot. The girl in mini shorts notices holes in the wall and says there were supposed to be spirit stones there. The protagonist, knowing how many there should have been, is sure there's a spirit source nearby. The body-painted outfit girl doesn't understand what a spirit source even is. She has no clue, but judging by how interested he is, it must be good. Meanwhile, the spirit inside the staff is getting anxious. They go deeper into the cave, but run into two random guys competing over a staff. The body-painted girl says there's steel arm and bronze leg, two of the people who awakened earlier. Supposedly one guy's leg and the other guy's arm are indestructible. Like not even a rocket explosion can take them out. The protagonist starts wondering if they rank above him. Wonky points at the ground and asks if they mean that staff there. It just looks like a twig. But the latex blonde is sure it has to be some kind of illusion. Something is affecting this place. Wong-Su says, yeah, something's off. She's smelling something that feels unfamiliar and familiar at the same time. The protagonist is sure. In her past life, she lived near springs like these, so there has to be something like that nearby. If she tracked it, then it must be that dishonest disciple. Suddenly, the two guys fighting say they feel uncomfortable with so many people watching. How about they deal with them first? They both rush in, but the latex girl says they don't even deserve to fight the protagonist, so she'll handle it. She jumps in and starts trading blows. The staff swings at one of them, but he blocks it with his hand. He recognizes her as the Weapon King and says, unfortunately, her ability is useless, and he shatters it with one punch. At the same time, the leg guy comes in from behind and nails her in the stomach. She says her tendons are gone. I thought she was going to be useful, but no, just there for the protagonist to save her and farm some aura. He sent the skeleton and the bird in, and they charge, but the two guys are still defending fine. And then, my God, the protagonist has to tear her clothes. Like he even needed to. Let's be honest, because her and nothing aren't that different. But he says he needs to repair her tendons urgently. Shadow clone jutsu, a slap on the girl, and a ton of energy flowing. Meanwhile, Wong-Su is still suffering, saying he's using that intimate healing again. At the same time, the fist guy is smashing the skeleton to pieces. Even the protagonist creatures are getting wrecked. The bird gets completely shredded. The other one eats a whole combo, then another kick. Back at the spring, the two disciples are farming energy, saying the fight outside sounds intense. The guy says it has to be their dear master, and she says she can't wait for them to evolve and finish him off. Next chapter after I said there wasn't any clothing left. There's literally nothing left for the blonde now, just a tiny strip. Meanwhile, the other fools are getting thrown into the wall completely wrecked. And the fist guy says it's a disgrace that the Weapon Queen is being treated like this. She's really been put in a miserable state. The well-covered girl is shocked and tells the protagonist they should run. Those two have gotten stronger in a way that makes no sense. But the fist guy suddenly charges the protagonist and tries to kick the sword. What happens? His leg gets cut. Congrats, genius. He's standing there in shock, and the fist guy says it's impossible that his leg got destroyed. While the bird and the skeleton laugh, saying the boss's weapon is an indestructible divine item. Right away, The leg guy starts hopping away trying to escape, but the protagonist pulls out the rope, swings it over, and slams him to the ground. Pinned down like an idiot, the fist guy is sure he can't beat this guy. And Subai says he's used that rope to tie up oxen from higher realms, so the guy should feel honored. Wonkyu remembers that, and once again wonders what kind of memories these are. The guy demands he take the rope off and fight like a real man. But our boy just tears off his leg, and that's it. Then he tells the skeleton and the other one to activate soul devouring, and they both consume him. Meanwhile, the fully covered girl asks what ability Subai awakened exactly. The fist guy already gets it after seeing the rope rip his friend apart. If he tries to face this guy, he has no chance. So he kneels, apologizes, and swears loyalty. The protagonist says he preferred him back when he wanted to fight, but then the guy gets startled, picks up the twig, and asks why the item they were fighting over turned into this trash. When the protagonist says it was an illusion, the guy throws it down in anger. And our guy says the person who made the illusion is right behind that wall. So a fight breaks out inside while the two are enjoying the hot spring. The girl is scared, but he tells her to relax. He's absorbed enough already, and now he can kill that guy easily. Unfortunately for everyone, when the wall breaks, the traitor has already put her outfit back on. At the same time, the fist guy comes in to punch the master. He says the bastard is going to die, but the master dodges easily. Then the queen of gold coins pulls some coins in her hand, uses them like bullets, and pierces the guy all over. He looked like he tanked it for a second. I thought he'd get back up, but he face plants. Wonkyu, once again, seeing that gold shooting ability, wonders where she's seen it before. Both disciples greet the master, saying it's been a long time. Meeting again, just a fight, would only damage the world's harmony. Then they ask why Senior Wonkyu is standing next to him right now. Did she forget the seniors and juniors' plans? Suddenly, she grabbed her head and says she doesn't know what they're talking about, and her brain feels like it's splitting. The Latex Queen wants to know why Wonkyu seems to know these people, and why everyone keeps calling Subai Master. The skeleton and the bird are stunned. The person they call Master is calling Master the people who are calling the protagonist Master. Yeah, it's a mess, but you get it. The protagonist just asks if Yunbin tried to kill him that day of the tribulation, and if Haoji was acting under his orders. But Yunbin tells the Master to stop asking so many questions. They can settle it with swords, and Haoji pulls out her coin, saying it's a shame she'll have to finish off Wanshu since she's standing by the Master. But she's shocked to see Wanshu herself step in front of our guy, ready to sacrifice herself for him. She screams, asking if she forgot all the evil things he'd done. But Wanshu fires back that they're the ones doing evil, not him. She hasn't known Subai for that long, but she believes him, and that's why if they want to kill him, they'll have to go through her first. The Queen of Coins says, fine, then she's basically asking to die. Right then, the little outfit girl jumps into the fight. She shows up already defending everyone, swatting the coins away and throwing them off. Artist, I don't even know what to say to you. And she answers that she loves gossip and fighting. So this place is perfect for her. The coin girl tells her to stop sticking her nose into other people's business and launches another attack. A whole barrage of coins while the woman just tanks it all with her staff. The protagonist is mostly staring at the guy lying there, not looking too worried. Then, actually no, he just drags the guy into the banner too. Boom, reborn inside the staff. The guy's confused trying to figure out what he's doing there. The protagonist tells him that if he becomes a servant, he'll get an immortal body. The skeleton and the bird don't look thrilled about it, but since he'll die if he refuses, he obviously decides it's a huge opportunity. Meanwhile, the protagonist is thinking that in this life, he wants to build a group of followers who are loyal. Yeah, not sure the best plan is beating a bunch of people and then stuffing them into the staff, but he gives his speech anyway. You're my servants, but you're also my friends. I'm looking forward to what you can do. And they all swear they'll give it everything they've got. Then the protagonist tells the three of them to handle the problem of the day. The creatures move, and while the little outfit girl keeps defending against the coin attacks, but the Money Queen pulls off this super flexible dodge, drops into a stretch on the ground, and says she expected someone who practiced demonic arts for so long to be skilled, but he should remember this technique. She summons that giant coin from the beginning again and activates Treasure Fall, slamming the skeleton into the ground. At the same time, the steel fist charges the other master, but one look, and he drops like a complete idiot. The guy even looks at Subai and asks if he's really accepting trash like that as disciples. He's fallen so far, and since that's how it is, he wants to challenge him to a sword technique duel, something Subai himself taught him. He immediately attacks the protagonist. 1Q says the energy is massive. The protagonist recognizes it as one of the strongest techniques he ever created. The only way to block it is by summoning the Wall of Swords. The disciple's blade crashes straight into the sword wall. These guys are really playing sword games, huh? Watching all this, 1Q seems to be recovering more and more of her memories. She's seen all those techniques before. The disciple keeps pressing forward, throwing a chain of attacks at the protagonist. He thinks he found an opening and goes for a clean hit, but again he runs into the sword barrier. His blade almost at the protagonist's neck when the protagonist tells him his sword still isn't sharp enough. Then the disciple's sword shatters completely. The girls cheer, saying that is expected from Subai. The guy never had a chance. The Queen of Coins is stunned. No wonder the master is the master. What she can't understand is why 1Q is on this man's side now. No matter how incredible and strong he is, he deserves to die. The big skeleton says he doesn't care that he's trapped. As long as Subai is his master, everything's fine. But then the rebellious disciple slams his hand on the ground and says he learned everything the master taught, including that in war, nothing is wrong. Suddenly, the broken sword fragments on the ground shoot toward the protagonist and slice his face. The protagonist yanks the staff's cord, manages to defend himself, and asks where he learned such a filthy technique. The disciple says that as long as he reaches his goal, nothing else matters. The blade is about to hit the protagonist's neck. 1Q screams, "No," while the skeleton does nothing. The Queen of Coins thinks that as long as she can kill the master, it's fine, but her ally is acting disgusting. Then the Steel Hand King steps in and blocks the disciple's sword. The coin girl tells him to get lost, but he says he's not moving. He's here to protect Subai. Even the rebellious disciple is shocked that someone using normal abilities in this world could block his attack. The steel arm guy says he feels bad about being a servant now, but if it's about facing the enemy who killed him, he's obviously going all out. He forces the sword back, extends his fist, and punches him straight in the mouth, sending him to the ground and blowing him apart. The skeleton says something is ascending, and he starts lifting the coin, too, throwing it into the sky. The Queen of Coins is horrified. How did a mere creature escape her prison? At the same time, the little bird lands on someone's shoulder, saying they're going to devour that woman. She raises another gold coin, and it looks like she's about to block. Meanwhile, the servant crawls out of the wall, completely wrecked. He swears Steel Hand will be the next to die and uses the illusory sword's technique, slamming him into the wall again. But in the middle of it, he gets distracted. The protagonist cord snakes in and binds him. Steel Hand thanks him for the help, steps in, winds up, lands a clean hook, then follows with a full JoJo-style combo. And the others aren't just standing around cheering, they jump in too. The disciple gets completely devoured. Only his shell is left. Right away, someone says something's off. He felt like mud. The protagonist recognizes it as a body transfer technique, but it burns an absurd amount of energy. And then the guy appears again in front of them, rising out of another mud puddle, saying the master is here, but only relying on treasures. He's supposed to be the sword master, so where's his real talent? Wang Xiu warns the protagonist not to fall for the trap, but the disciple keeps yelling, telling the junior to shut up. Then he fires an attack at her. Little Outfit says the situation is dangerous. The skeletons are shocked, but the protagonist just sends a sword to block it mid-flight. The disciple is sure his attack can't be blocked until the giant coin redirects his blade. When he starts to complain, his ally says he can't just kill the junior sister, who's part of the plan. But he says someone who protects that master is useless. Now, the Queen of Coins starts finding it weird. Why is he attacking one of them? That makes no sense. The disciple seems to realize he really did act strangely. He says he lost his head for a moment and thanks her for blocking the attack. She relaxes and says, "Good. He really is the man I respect." But while they're all caught up in that, the sword is sitting at the spring. That's when they realize the protagonist didn't block the attack. He threw it into the spring on purpose. The junior disciple asks if he's lost it. Then the water behind them starts trembling and an explosion shoots into the sky. Somehow the kid made a water phoenix, and they start realizing it's not just an illusion this time. The creature is actually alive. That's because the phoenix lived inside the sword, which absorbed energy and managed to materialize it. The junior disciple can't understand how that's possible. This world doesn't even have that much energy. The protagonist explains that a spring like this always has a guide, and the only substances that can guide it are a rhinoceros spirit or guiding mist. Since guiding mist doesn't exist in a world without spiritual energy, it has to be a rhinoceros spirit inside a crystal. An item that's useless to humans, but necessary to create divine weapons. I don't understand any of this, but I'm guessing the sword has that rhinoceros attribute. So he threw it into the lake, knowing it would act as the guide, and that's why the phoenix appeared. And the Queen of Coins says that even if he's cruel, his knowledge is intoxicating. The phoenix flaps its wings, and the junior gets wrecked trying to defend himself. Phoenix fire has a property that melts anything it touches. He calls for Xiaoshu and says they have to run. There's no chance anymore. But the protagonist lashes out with the cord again. The junior activates the mud body technique again and slips away, saying they'll settle this another day. The blonde with the painted outfit asks why Su-bai doesn't chase them and kill them now. He explains that just because he nurtured this divine weapon doesn't mean it recovered all its powers. The phoenix he summoned with the spring only lasts a few seconds. Then it dissolves and returns to the sword. The skeletons are impressed, saying he made an incredible plan by pretending he had phoenix power to force both of them to flee. The protagonist thanks Steel Fist for defending him. The guy is thrilled, even if he's a servant now. At least the boss thanked him. Then the protagonist steps into the spring and calls everyone in. Painted Outfit starts taking off the little clothing she has to jump in, but like she's got what? A boot, and that's it. She jumps in excited, but the protagonist warns her it's the kind of liquid you have to enter slowly, or it resists you, and you'll smack your face. And of course, the obvious happens. Everyone wants energy. The little skeletons get into the pool. Everybody's like, my God, I need more power. While the women are all shaking from the energy, and the other woman finally works up the courage and jumps in, too. But as she enters and starts advancing realms, she gets more memories about how deep Su-bai's teachings are, how the two of them destroyed demons together. She also learns how to cause natural disasters and bring calamity to all humans. She finally understands why he's called Master, and also why he's a demon. She's furious. Meanwhile, the protagonist is more focused on the fact that he advanced realms again. At this new level, his perception of everything around him is way sharper. He can even sense parts of his servant's thoughts. But then he's shocked to see Wanshu stand up. Beautifully drawn, she pulls her sword, points it at the master, and says he's a demon. He should have died a long time ago, and today he's going to give up his life. Little Outfit wants to know why Sister Wanshu is suddenly attacking Su-bai. Steel Arm realizes that a second ago she was weak, so where's that aura coming from? Both skeletons are sure there's no way to block that attack, and the protagonist realizes Wanshu is recovering her memories as her strength returns too. And this is a blade strike he won't be able to block easily. He'll have to destroy the realm he just advanced to stop it. He's about to sacrifice it when suddenly she jolts and collapses beside him, passing out in the water out of nowhere. Steel Arm says he was going to defend him. It's just that she fainted. He was about to die for the kid. The protagonist just tells the skeletons to check what's going on with her. One of them explains her neural pathways are blocked, and that's what made her pass out, probably a mind control technique. The protagonist realizes it's Yunibin's fault from the attack he used earlier. That damn former disciple was useful after all. And now that she's changed, unfortunately, there's no reason to keep her around. The kid is about to slice her up, but Painted Outfit steps in front of her and tells him to breathe. If he wants to kill Sister Wanshu, he'll have to kill her first. The protagonist just throws his sword into the wall and says that the moment they leave this place, the next time he sees Wanshu, she's dead. He really just abandons her like that, not caring at all. And the protagonist knows it. With so many disciples hunting him, he'll have to kill everyone, or he'll be the one who ends up dead. The good part is that every spring like this always has an entrance to another world. It'll probably lead somewhere full of unknown worrying things, but also opportunities. Down below, he finds a wall full of crystal. He walks up, puts his hand on it, and a space opens up filling with smoke. He realizes the place has a dense concentration of spiritual energy, but it's almost poisonous and he can't absorb it. Still, with his resistance, he can stay there for at least 2 hours. Suddenly, some random dengue mosquito-looking bugs fly in and the big skeleton appears at his side and starts killing them all. The system says he killed an advanced monster and the banner gains another point of experience. The protagonist gets excited because the creatures he'd been killing outside, those zombies weren't even giving points anymore, meaning he can finally farm again. And he starts spinning the staff. The trio that had been inside again for a second decides to head back out and start killing everything. With that, the staff reaches level 6, and now it looks like it can instantly summon 100 souls. The main character's hyped, saying he needs to take even more advantage of this, and he starts summoning some creatures while mosquitoes just keep showing up nonstop. Back with the girls, the barely dressed one is at the fountain and Wanju, the taller one, wakes up. She's staring at the barely dressed girl from behind, thinking about killing her since she's friends with Su-bai. And the other girl can feel Wanju's intent to kill. She's already got the wooden staff ready, prepared for a fight. But then Wanju hesitates and asks herself what's wrong with her. She was acting just like the protagonist, suddenly wanting to kill an innocent person. Can't complain about the artist, right? At least everything he draws is nice to look at. The barely dressed girl asks where Wanju is going, but Wanju just ignores her and walks off, wondering if she was really determined to kill that woman. All of that just because that girl was next to the master. She hates that man, and everything he did is unforgivable, but she also couldn't dirty her hands like that. Even so, she swears that one day he's going to die until she suddenly hears someone laughing. Her head starts hurting again. Some birds fly past, and she collapses unconscious. Meanwhile, the protagonist is down at the bottom of the sea with the staff, spinning the creatures to farm while he cultivates on the ground. He says they've already collected hundreds of souls, and those monsters aren't giving experience anymore. Is it the perfect time to leave? No, because a gigantic mosquito shows up. The big skeleton freaks out, and the thing comes in to stab the protagonist, but the Steel Arm King shows up and tanks it. The others warn that it's better to retreat now. The protagonist wants to fight, but his resistance to the gas is running out, too. The problem is not farming a giant creature like that would be a waste, but since his protection is fading, his summons are getting affected, too. So, it looks like they're getting out. Staff up, he stores everyone, and they swim out. The protagonist bummed. He wanted one more breakthrough. But then he looks back and sees the giant mosquito chasing them, and he notices that once it leaves the realm it belonged to, it shrinks a lot. So, he takes the chance to pull it into the banner. It drops inside a room with other mosquito souls the protagonist already absorbed, and it starts fighting. And he's sure there's still a lot left to explore in that place. He really needs to get even stronger. But at the same time, he's having flashbacks of Wang Qiu calling him a monster, and he wonders why people think he's the villain. Why did all the disciples betray him like that? To figure out those mysteries, he really needs more power. I think it's because you only want to get stronger and stronger that they betrayed you. Then Steel Arm tells him he found a catalog from that place with records of various creatures. As soon as they get out of the sea, he runs into the barely dressed girl again and asks where Wang Qiu is. She says Wang Qiu also thought about killing her, but then turned around and left. The protagonist tells them to move, while the blonde says that if her friend had attacked, she would have died. It's funny how she says that, and the protagonist doesn't care at all. Boom! They're out of the cave, and he doesn't even react to that information. Then the scene switches to some adventurers in the mountains finding Wang Qiu passed out. Since she's holding a sword, everyone knows she's an ability user. And in that group, there's a girl named Bai who immediately feels some inexplicable connection with Wang Qiu. Yeah, the story really loves putting women together so they can clash. She recognizes Wang Qiu was hit by a mental attack, and her nerves are in chaos. After her friend helps her up, Wang Qiu wakes up kind of dazed and recognizes Sister Yu. Yu is confused, wanting to know how Wang Qiu even knows her name. Wang Qiu realizes right away that just like she lost her memories, Yu went through the same thing. But maybe having no memories is actually better. Still, Wang Qiu is really messed up. She stands up. Yu mentions the mental attack, and Wang Qiu grabs her head as the pain hits again. She's hearing an evil laugh and tells herself that senior brother is destroying her. Yu doesn't get it. First tell me how you know my name, and who is this senior brother that's killing you? But Wang Qiu is talking to herself, wondering whether she should believe senior brother or the master who is actually good and who is cruel. He says she has no idea what the crazy blonde is thinking. But as ability users, all they need to do is kill demons and uphold justice. Wang Qiu says she agrees. Since she can't trust either of them, she'll do what she thinks is right. A headphone-wearing guy named Zhongyang welcomes her to the squad. He expects great things from Miss Wang Qiu, and together they'll destroy the spirits of this world. She's excited, but also says the place feels familiar, and the group seems to be heading out to collect spirit stones. Then the scene shifts to Yangqiu City. The protagonist Sarah and the barely dressed girl are arriving, and it looks like they came because of that catalog Steel Arm found. Steel Arm warns that this place is known as Hell on Earth. The number of creatures is absurd. The blonde, on the other hand, follows along, saying it's the perfect chance for her to evolve by his side. With Subai nearby, she doesn't have to worry. Then the protagonist staff says the Gun King has finally been collected. They check the item, and the giant mosquito comes out immediately. It comes out devouring everything, and his other servants are shocked at how much stronger it got. The protagonist tells it to go back into the staff, and says that in the future, it'll have a chance to become a boss-level servant. It's inside, but trapped in a little cubicle. Suddenly, from the rubble, an old man appears, asking the young people to wait. It was a bunch of people hiding from zombies, thanking them. But they warn it's better not to go further, because things only get worse. The blonde tells him not to worry, like he can see their team is strong. But the old man says they have no idea that Yangshi City was the first to be destroyed in the apocalypse. The monsters there evolved way more than normal, and the closer you get to the center, the worse it gets. He saw another powerful couple walk into the city, holding hands, and they got wiped out fast. Steel Arm tells the protagonist the same thing. Better to come back when they're stronger. But the protagonist says every opportunity comes with risk. It might be dangerous, but it could also be their chance to evolve faster than ever. The old man talks to the kids and says fine. He tried to convince them, but those two were destined to die. At least he tells the kids that now that the zombies are dead, they can leave. Other people who are hiding start coming out, and everyone celebrates. Then a guy shows up calling to the kids, warning that this isn't the grandpa they know. The old man gives a little laugh, and suddenly transforms into a body covered in tentacles. A bunch of the humans there had already been infected. Everyone tries to run again, but the creature whips out a huge tentacle, yanks a group of about 15 people, and tosses them into its mouth. And the protagonist does absolutely nothing. Everyone gets eaten, and that's it. Next chapter, tight outfit from a low angle, except they painted her skin black. What is that? Artist, are you really going to start censoring now after all that? She says she's noticing the monster aura is really high, but they haven't found anything strong. The protagonist says they just need to keep moving, but she's starting to get scared, saying she was out of her mind to follow him. Right then, something grabs her leg and goes in for a bite. When they look around, creatures are coming from every direction. The protagonist pulls out the big staff, releases the giant mosquito, and it alone is sweeping.